Welcome back. Okay, so now we're going to look at Recall 2, the album that collects the singles that were recorded during this period and generally released during this period, 1974 to 1976. Recall 2 comes with the box set Who Can I Be Now, 1974 to 1976. This time around, it's a single album, not a double album, and the tracks are in the sequence they were released in. So the first release, early 1974, the last release, 1979. And that of course was the 1974 recording of John and Melly Dancing Again. Though it does say 1975 as it always has said. Okay, very first up, Rebel Rebel. And for many people, this is actually going to be a key feature of Recall 2, because believe it or not, that single version has not ever been reissued. It's been the album cut every time. When Changes One Bowie came out in 1976, it was the album version that was on it, and so on and so on and so on. The difference between the album cut and this single, which came out first, is in the way of mixing, a bit of echo and reverb, and also some little effects and voice effects, stuff like that in sound out, which when you examine it closely you can see hear the differences. Now apparently the master tape has gone AWOL, absent, it's been mislaid, and on Recall it's a needle drop, which means someone's played a good quality record and put it on. Now if you have an RCA single of Rebel Rebel from anywhere in the world except the United States and Mexico, we'll come to that in a second, you have got this version, because the album version was not released on a single. So it was issued in early 1974 with a track from Hunky Dory in the back, Queen Bitch, which is just the album cut. First issue with just Bowie, David disappeared. So it does say produced by David Bowie on that release at least. Up here we have a US Rebel Rebel, also Queen Bitch on the flip. But it's actually not for US consumption. It wasn't for US consumption. It was manufactured in the United States for export to England, because at the time in England there was an energy shortage and England got its records from a variety of sources. There's a French Rebel Rebel available in England at the time too, as well as the French in France. So if you do have that version with Queen Bitch on the back and says Made in the USA, it is the UK single version. Second track on Recall 2, Diamond Dogs Australian single edit. Here we have it here, an original Australian single, Diamond Dogs, again by Bowie. What is different between this and the album version? It's faded out just before 3 minutes. So it loses almost half the song, because the song is almost 6 minutes long. I suppose that in Australia they thought it couldn't be a hit if it was 6 minutes long. Well, I don't think it was a hit anyway actually. Good track though. It's on Recall. Next track, Rebel Rebel US single version. Here is the US single version. On the flip side, it's Lady Grinning Soul, which of course is a track from Aladdin's Same. This version of Rebel Rebel is very different. David took the master tape across the States, it's touring over there, cut the first minute off, added a whole lot of instruments and congas, phased it, backing vocals, and that was the version that was released in the United States. If you know David live, the live album recorded on that 74 tour, you've heard the arrangement. It's a bit different of course, but it is the arrangement that's on the single. So very, very different, and it's available on Recall 2. It has been available on a few other issues over the last 15 years. I think not on record though. I think it's the first time it's been available on record again. Next track on Recall, Rock and Roll With Me, live promotional single edit. Now, David was signed to US RCA, and US RCA and UK RCA sometimes differed as to what they thought was appropriate for singles. So when coming to release a single from the live album, David Live, US went for the Rock and Roll With Me, UK went Knock on Wood, as did most countries. And so this promotional single edit is on this single called the short version. If you can see that, it says short version. Over there it says long version. The long version is the version that's on David Live. What is the difference? It's faded out about 50 seconds earlier. Nothing else. Now, that's a promotional only single. Here's another promotional only single from the US. It says Rock and Roll With Me. I'm showing it to you because in case you want to buy an original single, there's two different promo singles. This one has Rock and Roll With Me as well as Panic in Detroit. So be careful. If you are looking to buy this on a 45, make sure that it's got the version with the long and the short. Okay, which leads me to the next track on record, Panic in Detroit Live. Okay, recorded at the same sessions, or the same concerts I should say, as David Live, but not on the album. It was issued on this, flip side to the single. It's actually quite a nice long track, and near the end each musician do a little bit of a solo. If you've ever heard Roxy Music's Remake Remodel from their very first album, it's sort of like that at the end, you know, each guy or person has a solo and they all get back together. Very Latinised. Panic in Detroit from the recordings of David Live. Now, in the box set, Panic in Detroit is available on the triple album version of David Live, but it's the 2005, I think it is, remix by Tony Visconti, not the original mix of Panic in Detroit. If you're after Panic in Detroit, the original mix, it's on recall. If you want it on an album, you need to go and buy the 1990 version that came out on Ryco EMI, because that had Panic in Detroit on the album, and it is the original mix of it. Final track, side one of Recall, Young Americans, original single edit. Again, whoops, hold on, we've got Rock and Roll With Me. There's a copy the general public would have bought. It's a grey issue, so probably a second issue, 1974, or maybe from one of the other factories. At the time, there were 3 factories operating in the United States. I'm not sure if they all did singles, but they also used slightly different labels. Okay, Young Americans. Now, Young Americans were released in England, all around the world in fact, but most countries got the album cut. A few countries got the single version, which originated from the United States. It's about 2 minutes shorter than the album version, fractionally different mix. It's much more punchier, it probably works better on a dance floor. And remember, at this point in time, Dave was making what can loosely be called rhythm and blues, R&B, Gamble and Huff, Philadelphia, that sort of stuff. Young Americans not quite in that category, but it's most of the album it comes from is. So, Young Americans, single edit, first time, I believe, on an album for a long, long time. On RCA's Rare album, I think from 1982. So that's 30 plus years ago. Not worth really worrying about anymore. On Recall 2, the flip of Young Americans in the States was Knock on Wood, which of course was the UK A side of the previous single. The UK's Young Americans, which is the long version, the album cut, had a track from David Live, Suffragette City. Bit of confusion there, bit of diversion. Okay, we're on to side 2 of Recall 2, and the very first track is Fame, and it says here it's the original single edit. Now, from what I've read from all the reports, from some reports I trust a lot, it's not. It's not the original single edit. The original single edit cuts out the bit where it slows down about a minute out from the end. Here's a UK Fame single, and there's a US with orange label and a US with tan labels. They're all the same, 3 minute 30 version rather than 4, about 4:15. What's happened is the master edit has gone missing. The last time it was used was about 1992, so about, well, that's a long time, 24 years, I think. And by Ryko, when they made a compilation album of, not for David Bowie alone, but various artists. And there is a digital version that's correct of the famed single edit, but it's not, unfortunately, on Recall. It's an approximation on Recall. Okay, now, the next 4 tracks on Recall, Golden Years, the single version, Station to Station, the original single edit, TVC15, Stay, Word and a Wing. Now, I have here the Station to Station box set from 2010, and there is a CD in this that talks about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single edits, and they are the same single edits that appear on Recall too. So if you do have this, and you've got some of those singles, well, maybe this is the way to hang on to it. Okay, so first up, after Fame, was Golden Years. Golden Years came out in late 1975, about a couple of months before the Station to Station album, which it also appeared on. The difference between the singles, and that's the US and that's the UK, is that it fades out about 40 seconds earlier. The album cut actually comes to a cold stop. The single fades out, and unfortunately Changes One Bowie, which only came out months later, contained the album version. Album version of Fame, album version of Golden Years, album version of Diamond Dogs, album version of Rebel Rebel. So, unfortunately, it sort of wasn't his greatest hits, even though it said so. It was his greatest album cuts, maybe. Okay, next track on this Station to Station original single edit. Now, if you weren't wiser, you'd probably think, oh, Station to Station was issued as a single. And there it is in my hand. French single, Station to Station. But it wasn't issued as a single. This disc was manufactured by France, RCA France, as a promotional tool to promote the album Station to Station. At the time, Bowie was touring, and he toured Europe too, including France. I'll take that out of there. And Station to Station is a very long track. It's his longest track to date. Goes for over 10 minutes. This single, it says he cut down to 3 minutes 40, fades in at the third section of Station to Station, the track. So the first section sounds like a train, then there's this chugging sound and chugging sort of rhythm, and then it moves to much faster. This is the much faster section. Okay. The flip of that single, by the way, was TVC15, and it's also an edit, not the full version. But that's not the same edit that appears on Recall. The edit on this French single is a different edit, which is so therefore it's actually missing in action, so to speak, but it's just a fade out. Alright, TVC15. Second single from Station to Station, 1976, and then we have the US and the UK. The UK there has an A on the middle section, which means it's actually a demo copy or promo copy. The regular one doesn't have the A, but apart from that, it's the same. It takes a couple of words away. What's different between this and Station to Station album cut? It just fades out. This one lasts about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. The album goes for about 5.5 minutes. So, just shorter. The B-side of this is not from Station to Station, it's We Are the Dead from Diamond Dogs. Might have been a bit of a prediction about how well this single fared, because it didn't go that well. Now I've got something interesting here for you, because for many years this was the only official colour image from Station to Station available. Station to Station, the album, which looks like that of course, even though that's the box set, black and white, but just before it was issued there was a full colour picture of the whole cover, which is in the box set of course, is the remix version. And TVC15 in Japan used the colour image. Okay, so until 1990 or 1991, when Ryko EMI issued the album in colour, this was the only disc that had it in colour. And I think for that reason, it's reasonably desirable. It's the same version as the US-UK edit, of course. Okay, next up we've got two tracks which form both sides a single, Stay and Word on a Wing. They both say originally single edit. There's Stay, Word on a Wing. They're both cut down to just over 3 minutes. To my ears, Stay is actually a different mix. It doesn't sound just like a fade out. It sounds like the whole thing's mixed a little bit differently. Word on a Wing does a bit too. I haven't listened as closely recently, but Stay I listened to the other day and yep, think, no, that's definitely different. Wasn't released in the UK. Stay was released as a B-side to the track Suffragette City, which was issued as a single to the then current compilation Changes One Bowie. And on the B-side it was the full album cut, not the single. So if you're living in England, this might be one of the very first times that you can officially get Stay as the edit, and Word on a Wing for that matter. So those are the singles that were issued in the time span of this box set. This last 45, John and May Dancing, is of course the edit version of the full version that appeared on that 12-inch I showed you in the other video. There's the 7-minute version. This is cut down to about 3.5 minutes. 7-minute tracks don't get as much radio play perhaps as they deserve. Just in case people don't like them and switch off. Anyway, it's cut down to 3.5 minutes, and from what I understand, it's the first time it's actually been available for many, many years. Okay, so John and May Dancing again, single version, 3 minutes, I think it's 25, something like that. This side is another image from the Man Who Fell to Earth movie. And that's Recall 2. Now, if you've got a lot of David Bowie, these tracks actually aren't that difficult to come by. I mean, you can still pick up a Rebel Rebel if you look around. Might be a bit worn out. Unlike Recall 1, which had a lot of really, really rare tracks, Recall 2's perhaps not so rare, and the tracks that are rare tend to be just fade-ins or fade-outs. What's good about it? Well, I think side 2 is a great dance side. Short, sharp edits, a whole lot of tracks which you can dance to. And I think at this point in time in David Bowie's career, that's exactly what he's doing, dancing. Hope you enjoy it. Investigate the whole box set. Think if it's going to be right for you. As I said, if you don't have these albums, or maybe just got one or two, it's worthwhile getting. If you've got a few of them, or you bought the box out of station to station, you may want to consider. Okay? Alright, till next time. See ya. Oops, hold on. I just forgot. One thing I want to show you. Just thought it was all over. Found this in the box set. Fascination. It says here, it's what made Bowie famous. Now, what's nice about this little touch is that it's the very first flyer that RCA US popped in the Bowie albums, just when they were available. Came out in 1975, post Young Americans, for Station to Station, and it's a very nice reproduction of the original flyer. It even has the RCA stuff on the bottom still. And you can tell it's the first one. It says DB1, David Bowie 1. Starting to Changes One Bowie, there was a little fly in quite a few albums actually after that. But that's the very first one, and it's really well done. It's thicker, not as thin, but it's a nice touch, okay? Alright, leave you on that. And Bowie's music's pretty fascinating.